Today we are going to talk about some of the routines that we are going to follow in our 5th grade classroom this year. And our classroom routines are based on our class verse, which is found in Ecclesiastes 9:10, which says, "Whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with thy might." Our classroom routines make our class run a lot smoother. And when our class runs more smoothly, then we can do everything in our classroom with all of our might, and we can do it to please the Lord. And that's why we have routines in our classroom, so that everything that we do is pleasing to the Lord. Now, before we get into when our classroom routines start, we have to look at our 4 basic class principles that we are going to follow. And these are going to be the principles that rule everything that we do in our classroom. The first one is there's absolutely no talking while the teacher, that's me, is talking. You are not to talk while I am talking. You are to give me your attention so that you know what's going on in the classroom. The second one is, if you think you have something important to say, then you need to raise your hand and wait for me to give you permission to speak. And by something important, it needs to be something important enough for the whole classroom to hear. It's not something to make the whole classroom laugh. It's not something to be blurted out. It's something that the whole classroom needs to hear. Questions are important. And I do want to hear your questions, but you have to raise your hand. Number 3, do not get out of your seat without permission. We are not going to have you up and down, up and down, up and down, getting out of your seat without permission. And then number 4, you need to keep your hands and feet to yourself. Now, what are these class principles based on? They're based on the verse in Philippians 2:3. Let nothing be done through strife or vainglory, but in lowliness of mind let each esteem other better than themselves. In our classroom, we are going to always remember, respect yourself, respect each other, and respect school property. When we respect ourselves and we respect other people's time, other people's property, then everything in our class will run a whole lot more smoothly. Now, our classroom procedures begin when you come to school very first thing in the morning. And the first thing that you need to look at when you come to school is the board. When you come in, you always look at the board first. What you need to do is on the board. Now, what will you find on the board? Instructions for the day. You will find what you're supposed to do with your homework. Sometimes you may turn it in. Sometimes you may keep it at your desk. Where you're to put your important papers. You will find our schedule for the day. And you will find the board work that you are supposed to start on immediately. And here's the most important thing about our morning routine. There's no talking. When you come in, what's written on the board is supposed to be done without any talking. And remember, everything on the board needs to be finished by 8 o'clock. So you need to get here early, get your morning routine finished, be in your seat and ready to start the day by 8 o'clock. Now, there are some things that we need to get some routines settled for. And the first thing is, what do I do with important papers? Well, I have an inbox on my desk, and this inbox is for tardy slips. It's for notes from home that your mom may have sent me. This inbox is for permission slips. Your Wednesday or Friday folders go in the inbox. Signed papers I may have sent home and said, make sure they come back to me signed. Anything else that I need to see as soon as possible, you need to put in my inbox the first thing when you get here in the morning. And you need to remember, put these papers in the inbox before 8 o'clock. Also before 8 o'clock, you need to make sure that you sharpen your pencils. You sharpen pencils before school starts because there will be no sharpening pencils during school time. And you say, well, how many pencils do I sharpen? You sharpen maybe 3, maybe 5, as many as you think you'll need during the day. And you say, well, what if all of my pencils break during school time? Then you go back, you put your dull pencil in the dull pencil holder, and you take one out of the sharp pencil holder. You are not going to sharpen pencils during the school day. All of the sharpening gets done. If you come and you don't have time to sharpen your pencils, put your dull pencils in the dull pencil holder and take 3 sharpened pencils out of the sharp pencil holder. That way, we can start our day and we don't have the noise of the pencil sharpener during the day. What do I do with my papers? Where do I put homework papers? Your completed papers go in the completed papers bin by subject. You'll notice it's labeled by subject: math, reading, English, history, and science. Make sure that you put your papers in there when I tell you to. Also, I have a file for blank paper, copy paper, construction paper, lined notebook paper. You will find those in the back of the room. And remember, you turn in all papers neatly and on time. What about going to the restroom? Well, the first thing you need to realize is no one goes to the restroom if, number 1, I am teaching. Number 2, you, the students, are doing group work. And number 3, if you're taking a test. No one's allowed to go to the restroom. You go to the restroom before school, during break, during recess, and during seat work time. But if you have an emergency, there is a procedure to follow. You simply raise your hand. If I'm teaching and you have an emergency to go to the restroom, you raise your hand and put it in the sign language letter B, just like is shown here. You simply hold up your hand. Do not shake it, do not wave it, and I will point to you and you may go to the restroom. At any other time during the day, during seat work, you use the pass. If you see that you have to go to the bathroom, girls grab the girls' pass, one girl at a time, grab the pass and put it at the corner of your desk and slip out quietly and go to the restroom. When you get back, hang the pass back up on the hook. Boys, the same thing. Remember, you don't have to ask to go to the restroom. Just use the pass during seat work. Now, there will be more routines to come because our classroom also operates on the verse found in 1 Corinthians 14:40. Let all things be done decently and in order. Remember, when we follow classroom procedures, we have more time to have more fun. But if our class is unorganized and a mess, we will spend more time keeping our classroom in order. So let's make sure that we follow all of these classroom procedures that we've learned today.